All right, I've done some videos in the past on housing affordability in Vancouver, and the comment section here, the anger and frustration is palpable. And I understand it is a challenging market. Nobody said it was easy, but I keep getting these comments again and again, and I don't have time to reply to all of them, so I wanted to go over them in this video because this is a recurring theme that I'm seeing here. The first is this guy was absolutely furious. He said, "How how many times realistically, as a multiple of local incomes, how high can prices go? 10 times annualized incomes, 20, 30?" He seemed to think that it's all a Ponzi scheme. It's a bubble ready to burst. So I want to get into this here. In most cities, most places in Canada, you can buy a decent home for around 4 or 5 times your annualized income. In Vancouver, that jumps to just under 12%. Okay, if you want to know more, go on to a great resource. It's called Numbeo, and it'll break down the cost of living index, price to median income ratio, all these different metrics. Go on to there, 12 times. Okay, now that is expensive for North America. However, believe it or not, if you compare it to international cities around the world, particularly those in Europe and Asia, that ratio can jump to 20, 30, 40 times is not uncommon. So 12 times annualized income is actually, I think we're basically at the middle of the pack here, in my opinion. But prices, of course, should be aligned with local incomes, what the typical blue collar wage earner would make. If you want a blue collar market, you're going to have to move to a blue collar city. Sorry, but that's the brass tacks of this. You're going to have to look at a market like maybe Winnipeg, somewhere where prices are more correlated to local incomes. But you're not going to find that in Vancouver or a city of Toronto either. He says the numbers don't add up, and they don't. Income of, let's call it $65,000 a year, looking to buy a 3-bedroom townhome in Kitsilano for what? 1.7, 1.8 million, or a detached for pushing $3 million. Of course, the numbers don't add up if you're making that kind of money. This guy says you're delusional to think that these prices are sustainable, that they can sustain these valuations. He called it a Ponzi scheme. The numbers don't make sense. Well, of course they don't, not if you're making a blue collar income. Not everyone's a doctor or a CPA, this guy says. Again, recurring comments here. So I'll tell you a little bit about my clients, regardless if they're buying a 1-bedroom condo in Olympic Village as first-time buyers, or they're getting into a entry-level 2-bedroom unit in New West. Typically, they're in white-collar professions, okay? So they're lawyers, doctors, CPAs, engineering firms, architects, high-tech, IT, that kind of thing. They're in white-collar professions. They're not blue-collar workers. The ones that I do get that are blue-collar, sure, they might have a government job, doesn't pay them that much, but they've got a stable income, and the banks like to see that. Usually, though, they are getting funded from the bank of mom and dad, in my experience. So the mom and dad bought in 35, 40 years ago. They're sitting on 1.5, 2, $3 million worth of equity. They've got RRSPs. They've got stock portfolios. They don't mind gifting their son or their daughter the $150,000 for the down payment to get into that first home. And that's how that works. Vancouver is primarily driven by equity. And I keep hammering this home, and a lot of these guys just don't seem to get it. It's driven by equity that's been accumulated, in many cases, intergenerational equity that's been accumulated over decades. People that bought in and rode the market up. It's like an escalator. The other thing these guys say, this is another one that keeps getting a recurring comment here. In order for this all to work, this Ponzi scheme, this real estate bubble, they're over leveraged. They've taken on way too much debt, and it's all going to come crashing down. Now, I can only speak for my clients. I've had very little of them that were taking on high ratio CMHC insured mortgages. Most of them are putting down 20, 25, 30%. A lot of them are all cash. And I know this is staggering to a lot of people, but I just had a guy, he's looking at 18, 19, $20 million penthouses in Cole Harbor. He's from New York. financial firm over in New York. By the way, these luxury condos are a bargain compared to the US, with the dollar trading at 70 cents on the dollar here. But this is all cash, no financing. And I know it's hard for people to wrap their heads around this. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. But after so many years in the business, I kind of get it now. So these guys that continue to complain, though, listen, it's an open forum. You can say whatever you want to say, but you are completely wasting your time. And I'll tell you as well, some of my past clients, have told me they enjoy my video content. They find it informative. They kind of follow up on a regular basis, but in some cases, they don't actually watch the entire video. They'll just kind of get the bullet points and go right towards the end to read the comments section. So they're more interested in what kind of, let's face it, dumb commentary I get on my channel, because it's like a comedy show. And a lot of these guys now have told me, Jay, I only really watch your channel because I enjoy reading the comments, and it kind of reinforces my resolve here. And these guys, honestly, my clients are laughing at you guys. I hate to sound harsh here, but that's the brass tacks. They are laughing at you. So, maybe spend less time in the comments section on my YouTube channel. These guys under these anonymous pseudo-names, you never know who they are. Maybe you should spend a little bit more time putting together a savings plan, talking to a mortgage broker, and trying to get into the market. Where there's a will, there's a way. You might not be able to get into Yale Town or a luxury Cole Harbor condo or Kitsilano into a 3-bedroom townhome, but there's so many opportunities out there. But on that note, I will say most of these guys, they don't have the financial firepower, but moreover, they don't have the mentality, and most of them are never going to own in Vancouver. They're probably never going to own in the Lower Mainland. So that's why I tell you guys, just tune these guys out for the most part. I'm Jay Coupar. Feel free to comment below or subscribe. Click that green icon if you want a quick assessment valuation on your property, and I'll see you in the next video.